A church, mosque, or a temple. When you hear these words, your first thought is going to be of people worshipping in absolute peace and calm. But attacks on worship places are now becoming common, and as witnessed time and time again, you will have to be on high alert as you do the most peaceful possible thing. Here we have 5 of the deadliest attacks targeting innocent people, leaving many dead and many more injured. Sikh Temple in Wisconsin. On August 5, 2012, a Sikh temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin was getting ready for Sunday services when an armed man walked in and started firing. Congregants ran for shelter and barricaded themselves in bathrooms and prayer halls where they made desperate phone calls and text messages pleading for help. The gunman shot dead 6 worshippers before opening fire on police. He fired on a police officer who was helping a wounded victim outside the building. A second officer then fired at the gunman who died at the scene. The heroic acts of these policemen stopped this from being worse and saved many lives at the temple who was packed with worshippers. The gunman, Wade M. Page, an army veteran with ties to hate groups, is believed to have shot himself after he was wounded by the police, which led to his death. The violent attack on the temple left the community wondering why such a heinous crime would take place in the most peaceful site of the city. And even though they've tried to move forward, they say each time there's an attack on a house of worship brings back the grief. A historic black church in South Carolina. Dylan Roof, a self-radicalized white supremacist, entered through an unlocked side door of the Charleston church and took a seat at a weekly Bible study meeting. He had brought with him a semi-automatic pistol he concealed in a pack on his vest. He started firing when the congregants closed their eyes for a familiar benediction and killed 9 African-American churchgoers by firing at the victims at least 60 times. Before carrying out this deadly act, the shooter spent nearly an hour with his would-be victims praying inside the church. His senseless murder has left the African-American community desperate for answers, and the fact that communities like this have had to endure tragedies like this too many times makes the attack even more tragic. The shooter was sentenced to death after being charged with 33 counts including hate crimes resulting in death. A synagogue in Pittsburgh. In what's considered the worst anti-Semitic attack to happen in US history, a gunman opened fire in a Pittsburgh synagogue, leaving 11 people dead while Shabbat services were being held. The shooting at the Tree of Life synagogue struck at the heart of Pittsburgh's historically Jewish Squirrel Hill neighborhood. The shooter, Robert Bowers, targeted Jews online and made anti-Semitic comments during the shooting and also later said that he wanted all Jews to die. Survivors of the shooting tell of their horrific experiences have shocked the world. One man tells the media of how he and other worshippers hid in a supplies cupboard only to witness the gunman stepping over dead bodies and continue his attack. Bowers was armed with an assault rifle and 3 handguns, and after murdering innocent worshippers and trying to flee the scene, he came face to face with a police officer and exchanged fire, which led to injuries for both the police and the shooter. He later surrendered after suffering multiple gunshot wounds. A Baptist church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. The gunman in this case wore a bulletproof vest and a black combat gear as if to protect himself from possible resistance from the churchgoers. He started firing shots even before entering the church and then continued shooting at the unsuspecting people who were at prayers. He killed 26 innocent people whose only crime was attending church. The gunman, Devin Patrick Kelly, attacked the small church quickly, pausing only to reload. Small children were among his victims. A local guy then grabbed his own rifle and returned fire as the suspect fled in a car. He followed the gunman, who drove off the road and crashed his car. He was later found dead, unclear whether it was from a self-inflicted gunshot or from returned fire. Christchurch Mosques, New Zealand. In what's described as the most harrowing day, the city of Christchurch experienced an unprecedented act of violence on its Muslim community. Christchurch, a very quiet and a relatively sleepy city, is literally the last place anybody thinks this kind of heinous crime to take place. The gunman walked into Al-Nur Mosque with over 300 people inside and killed 41 people before driving off to another mosque 4 miles away and killing 7 more. And in a horrific eyewitness account, the shooter was seen firing shots at people fleeing the scene as he drove off. The gunman was filming the incident and even live-streamed his first attack on the mosques, which makes it absolutely diabolical and heartless to say the least. And in a rambling manifesto that is connected to the shooter, puts alleged motive of anti-immigrant sentiment and revenge for past terror attacks in Europe. The shooter, Brenton Tarrant, used social media platforms. The brazen nature of the broadcast, which is a 17 minutes long video, and the apparent failure of the tech companies to prevent its proliferation online raised great concern. You can share your ideas in the comments below on what could be done to better protect worship places and save innocent people's lives before they are taken away by cold-blooded murderers who represent no one. And thanks for watching.